TFA fam, it is Saturday night, which can only mean one thing. It's prop talk, baby. We are back for week 3 after a little hiatus in week 2. It's my wife's birthday, so felt like it was the right responsible thing to do, and that's why I'm still alive here today to join you all for prop talk.
And still married. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're still here, still not divorced. I'm not living in a little shanty shack eating mac and ramen noodles, I guess would be the thing. So, oh my god, this cat! I'll tell you what. Yeah, man, we're here.
I thought you were talking about this cat right here.
Ooh, Canadian cat.
Oh, all right. Not Felix the cat.
Nope. Wally,
that would be Felix Potvin for the Leaves. Old school goalie. Walito will probably know. It's his Canadian brother.
Got it. Well, one thing real quick, even though we weren't here last week, we did drop our bets in the Discord. There is a link for you all to join that if you would like to do so. Absolutely free, no strings attached, anything like that. But anytime we do miss prop talk, we are always dropping our bets in the Discord channel. So if you feel froggy, go ahead, leap on in there. Thomas, kick us off. Week 3, what is your first player prop bet?
All right, what position do I hate player props for more than any other position, Cody? Just based off all the shows we've ever done.
Tight end.
And we're gonna go with the tight end to lead it off.
That's right.
That's what we're gonna do. We're going Trey McBride over 51.5 receiving yards. Teams playing against Detroit have absolutely roasted them out of the slot. Essentially, teams using someone in like that Cooper Kupp kind of role. In week 1, it was Cooper Kupp himself, and last week it was Chris Godwin. For Arizona, it's basically Trey McBride. He's running 47.1% of his routes out of the slot. He's the first read 27.8% of the time on Arizona's passing plays and has a 20.8% target share overall. Throwing a cool 73.3 catch percent, and that equals fantasy football tight end 1 if you were going to redraft today. He's been balling this year now that Kyler's back. He's in a groove. Marvin Harrison Jr. is actually stretching defenses, which is a weird thing. You know, they can't just play down on them. They actually have to start playing some cover 2. And if they play cover 2, Trey McBride is going to eat them for fucking lunch. McBride and Brock Bowers are the only 2 tight ends that have 6 targets in each game they've played so far this season. So that's another one. With anything like this, you know, targets equal opportunity equals catches. That's what it is when you're trying to get any bet with all this shit. Greg Dortch, I think, is a sleeper bet this week, but apparently he tweaked his hammy and is questionable. Yeah? No?
I said yes, and then I did not know the hammy part, and then I said no.
Yeah, well, he runs 65.7% of his routes out of the slot. That's where Detroit's most susceptible. Look out for that, but really it just improves McBride's situation further if George can't go. I think this is a great same-game parlay game. I love Jameson Williams over 51.5 receiving yards on top of all my other bets. He can get that one catch and be over just like he did last week in the first quarter on like the first drive of the damn game. Some guys, you just have a ton of options in that game. You got Gibbs, Monty, Amon-Ra, Jameson, McBride, Marv, and Connor. I didn't mention Laporta just because he's been invisible, so I'm not doing anything with him yet. But I'm looking forward a lot to that game, but I think Trey McBride to the moon.
Totally agree. Love McBride. All the usage numbers are there. You know, tight end 1 fantasy, tight end 1 for his usage numbers. All the peripheral numbers are there. Apologies for the delay. I was looking to see what Jameson Williams' longest reception was. Still really hasn't been adjusted. It is sitting at 22.5, and it's kind of juiced to the under a little bit, minus 120 on the under, and is minus 110 on the over for DraftKings. So that just feels very #nice. We'll go ahead.
Very cover 2.
Ooh, a cover and a cover also. Double cover.
Mm-hmm.
How
Double
about
cover.
it all works. It's all coming together.
Double undercover.
Under.
Fucking off the wall.
Let's keep this rolling before this just goes way off the hinges. And we're just sitting here babbling. We're all Tom and I are a little sleep hungry right now with children. Well, that's all right. Never mind. Moving on.
So many activities. I didn't even go pumpkin picking today. Go ahead.
Oh, I have not had to do
apple.
that yet. I've
It's
not had to do
apple
that
picking
yet.
season. Not doing it. Not doing it.
My day's coming. I've completely forgot all about that. Yeah,
it's going down. It's all right.
Anyway, gonna kick things off, and Tom, the team that I probably hate the most has been the Steelers because I am the homer hater, and that's where I'm going to lead off. I'm going with Jaylen Warren over 44.5 rushing and receiving yards. This is basically just a usage play for me. Week 1, he was being worked in a little bit coming off of that hamstring injury in the preseason. Only had 4 touches, only saw 31% of the snaps that week. In week 2, however, that jumped up to 11 opportunities, 48% of the snaps. Was already looking more efficient and explosive than Najee Harris. Now we have a game where we're expecting approximately 93 rush attempts between both the Steelers and the Chargers. And regardless of whether or not Herbert plays this game, it's not going to change anything on the Steelers side and their, in terms of their offensive plan, their offensive attack. There's going to be plenty enough volume to go around for Jaylen Warren. So 44.5 just feels like an absolute smash here. And that's not even like looking into anything for the Los Angeles Chargers defense either. I just think that there's going to be enough volume here that he goes over this pretty comfortably.
If that was just rushing, I would feel, I don't know. But because it's rushing and receiving, I do like the number. I'm surprised it's at 44.
I think his rushing was only like 26.5. I'll double check that. But yeah, rushing and receiving is sitting at 44.5.
Yeah.
Yep, 26.
All right, I'll move on
for him.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go on to my second bet, and I mentioned this guy in the previous one. Brock Bowers over 4.5 receptions. I have 2 tight ends. 2 tight ends. That's right. The only tight end that has a chance to overtake tight end 1 status from McBride so far looks like it's Brock Bowers. And I got to say, I did not expect it to happen so quickly. I expected it to happen, but I'm going to go through some numbers, and it's through 2 weeks, but it's just bonkers that it's happening so quick. 6 for 58 on 8 targets in game 1 and 9 for 98 on 9 targets in game 2. That's against the Chargers with Derwin James and the Ravens, who always play tight end stuff. But seriously, let's be honest. He's not a tight end. He runs 37.5% of his routes as an inline tight end, and then the rest are from all over. 50% from the slot, 11% from out wide, 1.8% from the backfield. He's a unicorn. He's got an 88% catch rate. That's fucking insanity. He's got a 23.9% target share, and he is the first read 26.7% of the time. That's a big deal. For reference, Devontae Adams is a 25.4% target share. So Brock Bowers is almost there, and he's the first read 37.8% of the time. So basically, it's going to be Adams or Bowers, or Adams or Bowers, or maybe Bowers or Adams. Pick your poison. I feel like this 4.5 number for catches is going to spike next week, so let's just enjoy it while we can.
Yeah, man. On the Sunday start sit show with Kev, we had I can't remember who was on the other side, but it was Bowers or somebody else. And I said, clearly Bowers. And I said, even if I was like, we missed prop talk, but if you can bet, dude, his line was 35.5, I think, last week for his receiving. I was like, that one to me is just an absolute smash, and he crushed that. Ended up with what, 80,
his yards are still way down too. His yards are in the 40s.
Yeah, I think it was 48.5 the last that the last that I saw. So I think you could take
Don't
either
make-
of those and be fine.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Going to keep things on the ground here for my second one. I'm going with Tony Pollard. I guess I just love running backs coming off of injuries. But he covered this in week 1 with over 80 rushing yards going up against a tough Bears defense. Fell just 3 yards short last week going up against a tough Jets defense. Now he gets the opposite of that. He gets a fantastic matchup going up against the Packers, who have struggled against running backs, who have struggled to stop anything on the ground going back to last year. They're allowing the 5th most yards per carry in the league at 5.1. Pollard has seen at least 16 rush attempts through the first 2 weeks to start the year. Spears is going to play, but he's banged up, hasn't been really factored in that much anyway to begin with, so that doesn't really bother me or pull me off this line at all. Titans are 3-point favorites at home going up against the said Packers, which should mean another 15-plus rush attempts for Pollard. And if he gets that volume, I think he goes over this one as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a running game. I think this might be like one of the quickest games of the season, just because it's going to be Josh Jacobs, 25 rushes in the first quarter. And then that was bonkers, that first half. What do you have, 30 in like the first half last week?
That was crazy. Until Will Levis throws some dumb incompletion or a pick. That's the only time the clock's going to stop. Other than that, that clock is just
moving. Speaking of moving, I'm going Malik Neighbors over 63.5 receiving yards. I went with him last week. That was, I would say, a good call. He had 10 catches for 127 yards and a touchdown on 18 targets with a 64.3% target share.
Is that a lot? Is that
He's
good?
the first. Oh, I'm not done with the. Is that good? He is the first read 50% of the time, every time. 50% of the time. So check the math, Cody.
Sex Panther.
Double check it. Dude, the math checks out. That's straight up fucking gangster. Not like P. Diddy gangster, like Al Capone gangster.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes. That was the highest target share by anybody in the last 9 years. Thanks to Scott Barrett for that little tidbit. My favorite part about all that Neighbors stuff is he held himself accountable after that drop ball at the end of the game, blamed himself for losing. So he's going to come out hungry, angry against a Cleveland team that opponents have dropped back 66% against so far. So 66% of the time you're dropping back against the Cleveland Browns. And then when you put great game script into it, they're going to be throwing a lot. They should be forced to pass, which means targets and opportunities for Malik Neighbors, who is by far their best player. Seems like a winning formula.
Yeah, it's nothing really to say. I mean, that's just find a way to get the ball into Malik Neighbors' hands. Seems like the only thing that they have go for them.
Yeah, that is the only thing.
I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to go with a pass attempt prop. I'm going with Lamar Jackson over 30.5 pass attempts. His low this season through the first 2 weeks has been 34. Now they get a matchup against the Cowboys, which they are actually slightly favored on the road at -1, so kind of a pick 'em there. Total sitting at 47.5. But the big thing here is Derrick Henry has not been doing what they signed Derrick Henry to do. He just has not looked good. I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line. That's not going to change here in week 3 either. I think they're going to struggle to get anything going on the ground, even though the Dallas Cowboys defense has been up and down. They don't look like the defense that they were last year, but neither does the Ravens defense. So I think the Cowboys are going to be able to push them. It's going to be a back and forth type of game. So I like Lamar Jackson to go over 30.5. I think his yards are fine too. They're sitting like 215.5, 216.5. But I'd rather just take the attempts here. I think he has another day where it's 34, 35 plus. Like I said, going up against the Cowboys on the road, just with that rushing offense that just has not been able to get much going.
Yeah, well, I have a couple more. The first three I mentioned are my favorite three, but next two are still in my top five. I'm going to stick in that game and go Zay Flowers over 5.5 receptions. His A dot is absolute shit. It's like slightly higher than my A dot in an NFL game. Like it's not really that high. But since I'm betting on receptions, I couldn't give less than a shit. He's averaging 10 targets a game, has had 6 and 7 catches in week 1 and 2. The Saints absolutely ate the Dallas defense for lunch last week, and they exposed some cracks. I expect a lot of short passes, a few deep shots, keep in a close game that Baltimore really needs to win. He might finish like 6 for 33 in week 1, or he could have 7 for 99. But either way, that's a winner. So that's all I care about. Last one to wrap it up. This is a same game parlay. I got early. The lines have moved. Chris Godwin was over 64.5 receiving yards, and receptions were 5.5 receptions. That line has since moved up 66.5 and 6.5. I'm sure you can do alternate bets and figure it out. But I like, if you just did a pick one, I like the yards a little bit more than the 6.5 receptions. That's a lot. That being said, Chris Godwin is fully in that Cooper Kupp role on offense. He's got a 65% slot rate. Baker's playing out of his mind, and I expect Patrick Surtain to shadow Mike Evans. So targets will get funneled towards Chris Godwin. So I still feel comfortable with that, like that a lot. Like I said before, we both like Jameson Williams. That was another guy I wanted to talk about. Do you have any first touchdown notes?
I have not looked into first touchdowns, but I do like Dave Montgomery, Zach Charbonnet, and Alvin Kamara for anytime touchdowns.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if there's ever actually been a more obvious first touchdown bet than Alvin Kamara or Saquon Barkley in that game. Like you split your money, whatever you want to put, and you put it down for both of them. They should both be taken. Kamara has 6 carries inside the 10. Saquon has 4. Kamara has four inside the 5. Saquon has 2. As long as Saquon does not get tackled at the 1, which is a possibility, that son of a bitch should score a touchdown. So I like those two. Some other things I like. You have some other notes, Code?
I'm trying to find. I did an alt parlay on that Eagles Saints game where I took some lower totals. I thought I did it on FanDuel. I'm scrambling to figure out which site I did it on, but it was basically like.
Well, if you want to look for it, I have a couple of things I can.
I mean, it was more or less like 75 plus rushing and receiving for both Kamara and Barkley. It was receiving yard like 50 plus for Smitty, and then it was Olave and Shaheed. And I think it was whatever site I did it on. It had one of the like same game parlay, 50% profit boost, whatever it was. So nice. Taking the alt lines, but I had 5 legs there, so it was like plus money, plus odds anyway. And then with the profit boost. But yeah, I really like that game just from a same game parlay stance. You said you were talking about the Ravens game. I think that one makes sense as well. But I think
Cardinals Detroit game I was talking about.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the Saints Eagles is another one to attack from the same game.
It is
parlay
because you've got a lot of players on there. I mean, you could include the kickers if you really want to. There's going to be points in that game. Couple other notes. Nico is just a fucking monster at this point. Like somebody said that he looks like Julio Jones in his prime, and I'm like, dude, you can't say his name. And then the more I go back and I watch him run, how he runs, I'm like, fuck, man. Maybe he just gets open and runs away from everybody, and he's huge. He's just a monster. His number is going to just keep going up. It's at 72.5 right now. I don't know if it's really going to matter. He's a bona fide alpha dog in Houston, just in case you haven't caught up to that. Devonta Smith is at 70.5 against the Saints with no AJ. I'm probably not taking it, but He just balls out whenever he's the alpha dog. I'll probably take an anytime touchdown Devonta bet instead of the yards. Staying in that game, Kamara, Shaheed, Olave, they're all good bets. Kamara, anytime TD should be easy money, but it's juiced up, so try and parlay that. Again, what you're alluding to, I basically just said too. This is a great game for a same game parlay. There's a ton of options you can do. And lastly, somebody we had last week that hit, Dobbins, 56.5. He should get there based on volume. However, Pittsburgh run defense can kind of get in your head. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I am staying away from it. Wouldn't be surprised either way. But 56.5, it feels like a trap.
That's one of those ones where I thought you were actually going to take an under. I was getting ready to applaud you, Tom.
If I was going to take one, I would take the under. I'm staying away from it, but I'm leaning towards the under.
That's one of those ones where he can have, his first 8 carries all go for like 3 yards or less, and then he rips a 40-yarder, and that ends up putting him over. But whenever you called on Walito, you set up the bat signal. He said he has 40 props to drop, and I don't think he was exaggerating. So let's go ahead and run through some of these before we get out of here. First one, just gross and on brand for Walito. Javonte over 14.5 receiving yards.
I abstain. I plead the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, Javon, how many receiving yards did he have last week with Jaleel McLaughlin?
Well, McLaughlin was not as involved last week.
No, I know that.
Yeah, I think Javonte, I think he would have gotten there last week. He had 5 for 48 last week against the Steelers. So maybe, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they threw to McLaughlin again and just crushed Javonte.
Yeah.
That's just an offense I am not particularly interested in.
I don't want any part of it.
Godwin, we already talked about. I took that one at 65.5 at -108 on FanDuel, which I thought was interesting. Nico, we already touched on. Never going to say to not play Nico. Devonta Smith, you said you like the touchdowns or the catches better.
I like all of his numbers. I'm probably not taking anything just because I'm trying to spread things around a little bit more, and I don't want a whole lot of money on this game because I'm probably going to be angry as it is. I like it anytime. I do like his yards because in any game that Devonta has played without AJ, he has balled the fuck out. He's gone over 70 yards.
Here we go. Alec Pierce over 30.5 receiving yards. Looks like Pittman might not play. He did get a DNP on Friday after practicing during the week. Looks like he has a back and calf issue. This one Pierce could get over with one catch. He's playing that deep threat role, so that one is fine with me. Calvin Ridley over 48.5 receiving yards. He's hit that number both weeks so far. I don't know if that's just according to the Canadian system, but I do know that he did go over that last week. So Calvin Ridley's been playing well, and he's been getting open. If you go back and you watch it, like it's Calvin Ridley, it's prime Calvin Ridley route running, beating people as a technician. He just needs the quarterback to get him the ball, which I was going to
amazingly
prime Calvin Ridley with end of career Matt Ryan.
Right. Always open, didn't matter.
Devontae Adams over 64.5 receiving yards. I'm surprised that one's as low as it is. I like that one.
Yep.
Waddle over 43.5 receiving yards. I can't do that one.
Nope. Under.
Walito, you're either going to look really smart or you're going to look really dumb.
I will take it under on that.
Shoot. Who did I see? There was someone when I was scrolling through the numbers. Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings has a higher receiving total this week than Jaylen Warren.
What?
His at
Jennings
40,
early. I thought about taking
45
Jennings
and a
earlier
half.
in the week, and I should have because he was at 30.
He's now at 45 and a half.
Wow. That's wild.
DK over 60 and a half. I don't mind that one.
Yeah.
I like JSN in that game too. The only worry is that if they jump out to a quick lead and then just Charbonnet getting the rock 20 plus times.
Yeah, JSN popped out at me when I was doing research too. Just I think I would take his receptions, which I think are 5.5 or 4.5.
Okay. Yeah, Miami's slot corner is hashtag not good. So
yes,
I like JSN this week. Mark Andrews over 39 and a half. We were talking about that game with Zay, with Lamar. That one's fine. I think, his demise is being a bit overblown at this point. Somebody we were talking about pre-show, Tom, was Sir Travis Kelce. While Lito likes the over, Tom, you are staying away, it seems.
Under.
Justin Jefferson over receptions, never a bad bet. That has to be.
If anyone ever
juice, right?
vehemently argues against taking something like that, just punch them right in their fucking uvula.
This has to be juiced, right? There's no way Jefferson. It's not that bad, I guess. Minus 145 for over 5.5 catches. That's not bad. I thought that was going to be worse.
No, it might move. It might move up to 6.5 though.
Saquon over 3.5. You think he can? Think he can catch one on third down to?
Thanks, Code. If it's 2.5, I feel better. 3.5, not so much.
This was one that I was probably going to drop in the Discord. I just didn't write up. Achan over 3.5 receptions, 28.5 receiving yards. I like the yards. I mean, the receptions are obviously fine as well. He has 14 targets over the first 2 weeks. He has actually caught all of them. And I think he has at least 69 receiving yards in both games. When Skylar Thompson... Yes, when Skylar Thompson got his starts last year I think he had 4 games that he started. He led the league in target share to running backs. So we know
check.
Yes, we know Achan can get there in one of those catches. So the yards I really like. The receptions are obviously fine as well.
I'll tell you what, I went to look at his rushing and receiving numbers and was like, God damn, he's already over 100 yards.
That's why I would just take the receiving yards.
Right. But I was like, Jesus, already? That escalated quickly.
There was I felt like every time I logged in to check or look around, I felt like Kamara's total kept going up. I saw it was in 100. And I would log in, 2 hours later, and I was looking at
102,
101, and then a day later it was 104. So his kept going up as well. Amon-Ra over 6.5.
Is this the week that Amon-Ra actually passes Jameson Williams in target share? Because Jameson Williams has a higher target share than Amon-Ra. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's a little scary to me.
I mean, Amon-Ra got back on track last week and had 18 targets, 19 targets, something like that.
Wait a minute, he passed him.
I was like,
he just passed him, yeah.
Okay.
Might have been first reads. First read percentage. That's what it was. Okay. Jameson Williams has 34.5% first read percentage, and Amon-Ra is at 31.
Okay. Interesting.
Kind of crazy.
Shaheed longest reception, 23.5.
Sure, if he can get matched up with our slot guy.
Or anyone, really. Sorry, Tom.
No, Slay. Quentin Mitchell's been our best corner by far.
Not saying much. Sorry, Tom.
All right, Cody, go ahead. That's good. I'm glad you choked. I just thought to myself, you should choke, and I'm glad you did.
Speaking of choking, Gabe Davis, 18.5. Burrito, you were doing so good. It's like, all right, we're with Walito on a lot of this, and then he throws that in there.
I hate myself.
Won't do it. Jalen Hurts, 42.5 rushing.
Based on last week, dude should move. The problem is they need to just throw all of the RPOs out, because the only thing that happens on RPOs is we get illegal men downfield penalties. All of Jalen Hurts' runs that amounted to anything were designed or scrambled. So go with that.
Dude, he looks better on the scrambles too.
He does.
Like when it's a design run, he just like looks too like rigid or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what it is.
No,
like, when he scrambles, it looks a lot better.
If it's a designed run that's not an RPO, he looks good. If it's the RPO, it's sprint to the sideline and try and get 2 yards every time. Doesn't make any sense. Fucking stop doing it. It doesn't work.
You are the JT whisperer. Over 73.5 rushing, yay or nay?
I am, and the Bears like to funnel defense to get ran on, and they will get ran on. So I will take that over.
This was another one that I was going to drop in the Discord as well, but I do like Kyler Murray over 34.5 rushing. He has over 55, I think. He has over 50 for sure in the first 2 games. I can't remember if it's 55 or higher or not, but he has done that on only 5 attempts in each game. He's averaging over 11 yards per carry. Detroit is going to blitz. I think that's going to bump up his rushing attempts. So I do like him to go over 34.5. 108.5 now for Kamara. That line is that is crazy. Well, it's not crazy. It's crazy how much that it moved.
He'll have it in the first half. This is fine.
We're okay. Jordan Mason over 110.5 total yards. I would rather just take his rushing yards at like 95.5, I think it is. He just has not been involved in the passing game. I mean, maybe that changes now with them being down Debo and Kittle. I'm actually curious what Macau J's line is. Let's see. How many? Come on. We don't have any Juicy J lines here. Okay, so no reception totals for him. What about yards? 17.5 on receiving yards for
Juice check.
Yeah.
Wow. Under.
Little higher than I thought it was going to be. Kyren Williams is sitting at 21.5 for what it's worth. Bijan over 109.5 total yards.
That's against the Chiefs.
That's another situation where I'd probably rather take the rushing yards.
Yes, I would not touch that.
Javonte over 11.5 rush attempts.
Get out. We already answered one Javonte, really.
Yeah. Najee over 14.5 rush attempts. Fine with that one.
Yep.
Kirk over 231.5 passing. Mahomes 268.5.
Under on Mahomes. Kirk should be right around there, but I will go over based on game script.
Then we got Brocky Boy, Pittman under 46.5 receiving yards, Godwin 50 yards. A good little parlay.
Well, if Pittman doesn't play, that gets negated.
Right. I mean,
I'm surprised that's on the board, to tell you the truth.
Brocky Boy could have taken it earlier. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
I would just take Godwin on his regular yards, and you know what I mean, not even bother with an alt on that one. I think Godwin smashes once again. Really like Godwin this week.
That parlay I took was nice. I got it early. Everything was low.
We were talking about gross tight ends before
Brenton
the show started.
Strange, my brother.
Yeah, Brian want to know Colby, Saubert, or Brenton Strange for tight end.
I'm going to go Brenton Strange here. No Ingram. Trevor Lawrence still likes throwing the tight ends, even if it's Strange. Ah! Ooh, ooh, ooh. You know,
yeah, it's between him or Parkinson for me. So I'm fine. I'm fine with either one.
Last night, what the fuck happened there?
Yeah, I had what did I have? I had another alt parlay. I think it was Brees 50 plus, and then I fell into the trap. I took Hunter Henry at 25 plus, and it was fucking Austin Hooper day. So,
well, if it makes you feel better, I took Brees receiving, and it was 29.5, and he got 29 yards.
It doesn't make me feel any better, Tom, but it makes me feel better knowing you're with me. Makes me feel good knowing that the TFA fam is with us as well. We're going to go ahead and get out of here, but like I said, be sure to jump in the Discord. Absolutely free. We're always dropping plays in there. I'm sure we will have some more that we did not mention here. I will for sure, just because I was scrambling a little bit. There are definitely some that I have in that I did not mention here tonight. If you have yet to do so, please hit us with a like and a sub while you are here as well. I will be going live tomorrow, either at 11 or 11:30 to answer start-sit questions as well. That's another place you can drop them in the Discord or just leave comments on any of the YouTube channels. We'll be sure to get to you. Good luck this week. We'll talk to you all soon. Let's cash some bets.